not me, and it's not just Mark or just guys or just Joey or just Chris or anything like that. It's really a team effort. And the series about everybody on the team's got a job, so it's really a team thing. We trust each other. I know that if he's doing strength training and I'm not there, they're doing their thing. I know it's good. And vice versa, when we're in the gym, I'm the one that does the setting up of sparring partners and stuff. That's the part I enjoy the most. We had guys like Robert Helenius and Cal, and if you're going to fight Dominic Breazeale, and you get Robert Helenius.
Like I said, I have 17 grown men. I don't have time to play games with people. And my heart is pure. You know what I mean? I am not what people see on YouTube or anything like that. Outside of the ring, I'm a loving person. And, like I said, what we had dealing with boxing, I released that negative energy, inside of the ring. Now my heart is him. I can come and love him. I can come and say, man, I wish you the best, and I want you to go back to your family. And that's growth in the sport. That's growth in me, and that just tells a lot of people my character about myself.
Thank you, Jam. Good luck for you. Good luck for you. So he actually training the same. And that's why he came in at the lightweight, and you saw what happened with the right weight, with the right weight and getting back to the basics technique-wise, all that came into play.
After what happened with how Tyson Fury somehow got up, did you know Dominic Breazeale was out for the count, basically?
I thought he was gone, and to his credit, he did as good a job as humanly possibly could have done to try to get up. But I'm glad they stopped the fight because it wasn't going to be good. It was time, and I'm glad he's good. And I'm glad he's safe. Thank you.
So Jay knocked out Mikey Pat. He couldn't get out, and Deontay said that he could have, fell through somebody and everything. If they would have continued that fight, it would have been some serious damage.
Well, anytime you got a guy like Deontay Wilder and you're not in a proper state of mind, you're half concussed or maybe fully concussed, and he's coming at you. Especially, and that's the thing people don't understand. He's wild, he's this, that. But if you really look at it, it's only when a guy's hurt that Deontay throws unorthodox punches. And you got to understand, when you're hurt, it's like being dizzy. When you're dizzy, you can defend against punches that you've seen 1,000 times a lot better than you can defend. Like if you're thinking like this and all of a sudden stuff's coming from here and here and here, very hard to defend, as opposed to, all right, I'm gonna stay in the pocket, I'm gonna shell up, and maybe I can pick off enough of these to clear my head. With Deontay, that ain't happening. He's coming from anywhere and everywhere, and there's really no answer for it. So that's the part that the general public doesn't get. Oh, he's wild. They're not seeing the 1-2 that knocks Dazn down, in the second fight. They're not seeing the punch that, if Breazeale got up and Deontay went at him unorthodox, they would have forgotten what you just saw, which was technically very sound 1-2.
Jay, break down the knockout. Why was he able to land that punch?
Well, he had him hurt, and then he got a little bit, anxious, trying to get. Then he settled back, and then to Dominic's credit, he really fought back. And then Deontay kind of settled back down. He got back, all right, we're back, we're going to do things. And he saw it. His mind picked up on the angle. There's a million things going on in a fight that the average viewer probably doesn't see, just in terms of spacing and timing and distance. And that's what Shelley was talking about. Like he lined him up. Deontay was just like a half step to Deontay's right, which the angle was just. It wouldn't have been, the angle wouldn't have been there. It wasn't there 3 seconds before. It wouldn't have been there 2 seconds after. It was just that. There it is, kind of thing.
And when that landed, did you know?
I knew, when Breazeale came out and he got hit and he said, you ain't got nothing, or whatever it was he said. They got hit again, he said, there ain't nothing to that. I was like, okay, this is not going to last long because that's the way punching power is. They say getting hit by George Foreman, which is kind of a slower, they say getting hit by George Foreman was like getting hit by a Mack truck at 35 miles an hour. Like you feel every inch of the pain. Getting hit by Mike Tyson, it's like getting hit by a bullet. It doesn't hurt. You're just on the ground and your body doesn't work. You can't move. Deontay's more of the speed power. But when he hits you like to the body and things, it's more the George Foreman power. So he has a little bit of both of it. But what he hit Breazeale with was the speed power. It's just you're just on the ground and nothing worked.
So now manager hat.
Yeah.
What's the most likely fight that's next?
That, we're going to see that everybody says they want to fight until you get them to the table. And I mean, look at Joshua. We had offered him $50 million, and he and proved it was real to their own. They agreed that was real. I've never known Al Heyman and Shelley Finkel to be anything but real with money, but proved it was real, and they said no. They offered us 15, and we said yes. The fight never happened. Well, that tells you right there that who wants to fight and who doesn't. So I don't know, to answer your question. We're going to see. Shelley's working on some things, and me and Shelley will be in touch about 15 times a day for the next week or so, and we'll make whatever the next call is, what it is, whether it be Fury or whether it be Joshua or whether it be a rematch with Ortiz or whether it be Kalnaki or like Deontay said, it's not a huge division, so there's going to be opportunity.
Can you speak now of the $100 million offer and as to why the team passed on it?
Well, I think really what it was mostly like Deontay betting on himself, kind of like Floyd did back in the day. You had one offer that was from ESPN came in, and that would have that side of the road would have kind of tied us to Fury because he was already signed. Then Dazn came in, and that would have tied us to Joshua because it's on that side of the road. But I told Deontay, and he was way ahead of me on it, but he said, I want to bet on myself and go my own way where I'm not tied into anybody else's plan. And I said, well, you got a great idea because, when they build a condo at the beach, there's always about 10 houses they've got to buy, right? The guy in the last house that hasn't sold yet, he's got all the power. He gets what he wants if he sells it all. He gets what he wants. Deontay's the last house on the beach.
We didn't get to see it tonight because it ended in the first round, but how much did Deontay prove himself fundamentally during this game?
Oh, I thought he came to me after the last fight. He said, I want to get back to the basics. I want to get back to the basics, get back to technique, and really go back to day one, and let's start, really refining the technique. And I said, that's what every coach wants to hear, So that was a great idea. So actually, if you watch it, right off the bat, his stance, his hand placement, everything right. 3 seconds into the fight, I'm like, we're good. Like we are. He is doing exactly what he said he would do. He's such a freakishly good athlete that he can get away with things, and that's he's right about that. He can do things wrong and it come out right. But what you have to wonder in doing that is, would an 8-round fight have been a 2-round fight had you done things like tonight? If he was getting away with things tonight, does that fight go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or whatever? But he came in with a game plan. He came in determined to do things technically correct, and he's always going to be Deontay now. Don't get me wrong. He's never going to lose his unique punches. He's never going to lose the awkwardness that he has. That's what makes him effective. We never wanted to take the identity away from him. We just wanted him to zero in and hone in on some of those basic fundamental things.
Is this the ideal weight that you want Deontay?
Yeah, I like him right in the mid-220s. I know they came in the last fight at 212, and then the morning of the fight, the night of the fight, 209. Probably by the time he knocked Fury down, 206, 205, right? Because he'd been sweating all night. So 225, really 223, 224, 225 sounds really good to me because I think he has more fluid. Like he's bigger, he's faster, he has so much more energy when he's taking care of his nutrition.
What do you think is the ideal return time frame?
Oh, I mean, that's the great thing about boxing. He got in and he got out, so there's no reason to say we'll see you in 2020. I mean, I think we're good for September or October. I think so. I mean, we'll take a month off and everybody go do what all they need to do and we'll get back in camp. We're ready. I'm ready. No, sure. Go ahead.
Another heavyweight was here at the Jogba. Deontay mentioned his competitor actually walking out of the ring. Do you see similarities between the two based on the few fights that he's had? I
haven't seen enough of FA. I do know that Ronnie trains him, and anytime Ronnie Shields has trained somebody, you've always got to think that they're doing the right thing, because Ronnie's a tremendous trainer. In fact, when I took over the training duties at Sky Boxing and became the trainer, because I wasn't up until that point, I was like a resident sparring partner and promoter. But when my brother got out of boxing and I was going to take over the training duties, the first place I went was to Houston, and had never met Ronnie before. And he's like, "Come on, we'll have fun." And the guy had welcomed me into his house, and we went out and watched a pay-per-view fight, and met his family, went to the gym, and I'm sitting here the whole time writing, notes down and stuff, and the things that I liked that they did, the things I would change and all that. Came back to town, but I'm the new trainer. Deontay Wilder walks in the door. So it's amazing how it all. So to answer your question, yeah, if Effie's, working with Ronnie, he's the real deal. He's a good fighter, and we'll see, what happens down the road. He's young. He's still got a ways to go in terms of building up, but I think if he's with Ronnie and does what Ronnie says, he's got a tremendous future.
Which fight next do you honestly think is the most likely?
Man, I can answer that question better a week from now, but I just don't know. Shelly could tell me one thing tonight and then tell me something totally different Tuesday or Wednesday, and then I get my input, and then we talk to Al. It could go a million ways, so I hate to be on record as saying, because I just don't know.
This wasn't a good fight to judge the barometer on Wilder's development since the Fury fight. I mean, there was some rounds where I was a little, I felt nervous about him in that fight. Has there been any changes or anything that you do differently in the gym or during
No, we didn't change the team or anything. We just went back to the basics. That was the main thing. Is we literally got back to, hand placement and the stance and the upper body movement, and starting and finishing everything in your stance, and finishing everything you throw, and finish with a defensive movement so you're not there to get hit with a receipt. And we went back to the basics, and that was great.
If he had these basics against Fury, would it have been a different fight?
I think he had basics against Fury, but I think the thing about the Fury fight is he was so light, and he wanted to impress so bad that he was pressing a little bit. But you got to remember that the IQ part of what Deontay was talking about, being a smart fighter, you got to remember, he scored 2 knockdowns in the last 4 rounds of the Fury fight. That tells you that, like, biomechanically and intelligently, he was figuring things out to be able to have 2 knockdowns, and it wasn't 1 and 12, it was 9 and 12. So that tells you right there he was figuring things out.
Is there anything in this fight that you told Wilder because of the Fury fight? Anything in his mind that you told him to get rid of? Or anything?
No. Deontay's his own guy, and he knows what he's doing. And I'm not. It's more of a partnership than it is. It's not like I tell Deontay what to do, and like you're coaching a college athlete, or it's a professional thing. So it's much more a collaboration. I'll show Deontay what I see and tell him what I think and whatnot, and then he'll say, yeah, but I can change that angle this way. This would be more effective. And I say, show it to me. Show me what you're talking about. He'll show me. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. All right. And then we go back and forth like that. So it's like a collaborative effort between us. So there wasn't anything like that. But if you watch the video, I'm interested to see the replay, because one of our things we want to do is move to our right, which we thought would give us a good angle. If Deontay could move to the right, we could get the angle that we were looking for. And Breazeale came right out and immediately moved this way, which was apparently their game plan was to make Deontay move to Deontay's right, which was kind of, I was like, hey, this is great. Like, this is right up our alley. Where they're doing right, they're giving us just what we want.
Okay,
I'm about to
vice. Leave you to the wolves.
Yeah, leave you to the wolves. We're good.
Good job. One more, Jay. Deontay was very vocal on what he thought the punishment should have been against Miller for the failed preseason.
Yeah.
What do you make of this, light slap on the wrist that he's got?
Well, I mean, my point of view, and I don't even know what Deontay said, but I'll just tell you what I think. My point of view is, it's such a dangerous sport. It's not like if you cheat and take performance-enhancing drugs, swimming or running, you maybe shave a couple of milliseconds off your time. You maybe cost the guy that you beat some endorsement dollars or whatever because you beat him. But in boxing, you're literally enhancing your ability to assault another guy. Can you imagine if Deontay had been on performance-enhancing drugs when he hit Spielka or tonight or whatever? So it has to be taken very, very seriously. I don't think you should be able to fail 2 tests or 3 tests, or and just be able to come back in 6 months when you probably wouldn't have fought in 6 months anyway. I don't think that's right. I think you just have to. It should be. It has to be really serious for guys. If there's no punishment, people are never going to change. And we've seen that. We went through some things with the whole Povetkin situation. and then Ortiz and Vacic, who's another guy that you probably hadn't heard of, but Deontay was supposed to fight, and so on. So it's Deontay's 40 whatever fights plus the Olympics and all the trials, and he's never tested positive for anything. So you know that ought to tell you something.
Hey Jay, every time I talk to you, you educate me a lot about history, and I know your history of collecting tapes and things like that. For the fight fans, even myself, is there a fight that we can compare this to a time? I know you're digging deep in the archive. I know you probably maybe have tons of fights. Just curious for someone maybe to go back and reference.
A fight that would be similar to this one?
Yes. Or a case, a study of a fighter's animal.
It's the 15th quickest heavyweight title fight in history.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, wow. Joe Louis, the second time he fought Max Schmeling, and I'm bringing up Joe Louis because he's an Alabama guy, but the second time he fought Max Schmeling, he went out with the kind of purpose that Deontay had tonight. Now, Joe Louis had the world on his shoulders because of the whole World War II, American versus German. They actually wound up being friends all throughout their lives. But that night, and the fact that Schmeling had knocked him out, but the second fight, Joe knocked him out in less than a minute and a half. And I think he broke his rib and broke maybe his back, and went and visited him in the hospital. So I'm trying to kind of connect all the things that Deontay, all that. So I guess that'd be the closest thing I could think of, be Louis Schmeling too. That good?
Yeah. I'll grab you just for 2 minutes for Australia, mate.
Sure.
Yeah. Are you guys all done?
I've been
If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, from title, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.